And I'm sorry I have to leave, but I do need to get back to Jefferson because I have students to help.
Mrs. Bondies, the floor is yours. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. My name is Renita Bondies. As you know, you've seen me multiple months now, and I've been coming for some time. Concern I have is the failure of this board to follow its policies and bylaws. After the November meeting, in which you guys ran through 14 bylaws by number, no discussion, I approached Mr. Lauterbach. I was told by Mr. Lauterbach that it was discussed beforehand. I questioned the Open Meeting Act because it was never discussed in public, instead behind closed doors. And then I was questioned about whether I'd even read the Open Meeting Act. And then Mr. Lauterbach went on to ask me if I was a lawyer, and basically said if I wasn't a lawyer, I couldn't interpret the Open Meeting Act. And then Mr. Hatfield joined in.
Ma'am?
Yes, I'm going to tell.
Hold on. This is not, you can stop clock, Jeff, that's fine. This is not the forum to personally attack board members. If you have something to say, that's fine, but I will not allow you to attack everybody personally.
There is a point to this
Okay,
that
let's get to
addresses
the point
the
then.
board.
Thank you. Jeff?
The point being, this board has continued to ignore its bylaws. The superintendent has sent me a letter letting me know that this board is doing everything they're supposed to, and yet at the last meeting, you conveniently, after over a decade, dropped off the whole part of the meeting that requires approving of meeting minutes from study committees. That just happened to disappear from the agenda. There was no approval of meeting minutes. There was no reading of meeting minutes. There was no discussion about that being dropped off the agenda. So what has happened to the transparency of this board in this community? If your
I
job
think we got it corrected.
as elected
I think we have to
officials,
correct it for a minute.
excuse me,
So
stop the
meeting-
clock if you're interrupting me.
Yeah, we have to correct it. The meeting minutes were read and they were approved.
They were lacking.
It was
They
not
were
on the
lacking.
agenda for the first time. It had been removed from the agenda.
No. Meeting minutes, any committee meeting minutes that any meeting.
Were summarized.
That, the minutes were read and approved as well.
There were action items on the agenda.
Okay, let's,
The point being, this board takes an oath to the Constitution and to do your jobs. Months before I even arrived, you had been called out on violating bylaws. You continue to not follow those bylaws. You don't work with the community. You're not open and transparent. It was justified that this board was allowed legally to cut down to one meeting a month instead of the two that had been done before Mr. Sharrow arrived. And the meetings, study committee meetings, have all been made private so that nobody can go in and hear what's discussed. Instead, we get to watch what happens in these meetings, which is just an agenda full of action items. I don't know how a business can have action items with no discussions and decisions being made behind the scenes. So this board is not being open and transparent. This community does not understand that you are not doing your jobs according to the election positions which you have taken. That concerns me as a community member and a taxpayer and a concerned parent of others that are in this community. So until this board decides they want to do the right thing, this board either needs to resign, be recalled, or be voted out at the next election, because you're not doing your jobs. Thank you.
thank you, ma'am.